You see, James, at the start, I made it very clear to you that, look, you must have a criteria, okay? Without the criteria, you will become confused, as is happening respectfully, okay? If you don't have the criteria to establish your proposition based on evidence, then you will believe in fairies. But to then equate fairies with the idea of a creator, in which I've already said to you that all the religions you mentioned, yes, all have a concept of a creator.
They all have a different idea of a creator.
Sorry?
They all have a different idea of a creator.
That can only be established once we have considered the evidence. Do you agree?
What do you mean by evidence?
Well, there we are. You see, if I were to say the Jew has got some information which he considered to be evidence, the Muslim which he considered to be evidence, the Hindu which he considered, should you not assess that evidence?
Right.
Logically.
I'm not
Should
sure
you
it's
not?
possible to assess all evidence logically.
Why not?
What's your favorite flavor of ice cream?
No, that's subjective. Evidence,
Right, so
evidence.
subjective.
Sorry. Evidence
There's
is objective.
logic to it.
Evidence is objective.
So there are parts of our experience.
No, I don't think you just heard me respectfully, sir. I'm Shabir, you are? Sorry, James. Matthew. Evidence is objective. How the ice cream taste is subjective. You can tell the difference. So if we go back to that, you see, if you look at the evidence, thereafter, hold your position, I would have no argument. But if you are not going to even consider, simply, and I have to respectfully say this, simply because you are relying on authority, because I did see this advert being posited on the buses of London.
Yeah, I didn't realise that when I bought this seat, but
don't worry about it. I'm aware of it. You okay?
Yeah.
But the proponents of this idea, mine is a simple view. I don't mind whatever claim someone wants to make, but you must logically, reasonably, and rationally establish a proposition through the evidence. So the question therefore arises this: the way we are reading it, the issue may not be with what we are reading, the issue may be with the way we are thinking. And I would suggest to you it is the way we are thinking.
Right, so there could be problems with that book.
And if you are making a claim, you need to support it with evidence.
Look, it's been a pleasure.
A pleasure, Brian. Look after yourself.
Sit down for a moment.
No problem at all. Okay.
It's been an absolute pleasure.
Likewise, sir. Thank you very much. Bye-bye. But you see, you are jumping from one to another without establishing one point first. Now, you did agree with me, women and men being kept separate. There's nothing wrong inherently. However,
being kept separate.
Being forced to be kept separate is wrong. Do you agree?
Yes.
Forced.
Yes.
Where does Islam say you force people to be separate? It is akin to what I just said about the United States system. If the system doesn't permit it, you are looking at the people and blaming the system. You disagreed and I agree with you. Now, does the Quran say that they are permitted to get drunk? No.
No, you're not allowed to do that.
Sorry.
No, you're not allowed to do that in the Quran.
Should you blame the system?
No, you shouldn't blame the system.
Thank you, William.
So what's the point?
That's it. Thank you, William. God bless. As Muslims, our primary guide is the Quran, and then we have the sayings and the actions of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. Now, when it comes to, for want of a better word, sectarianism, my view will be based on the evidence that's available and its assessments. And having assessed the evidence, I can confidently assert that what the Creator tells us, amongst other places in Surah 22:78, it actually tells us exactly what we should call ourselves. And what does it say we should call ourselves?
Muslim.
It tells us to call ourselves Muslims. Robert, you see, the innate nature you are talking about, I cannot see, I cannot test, I cannot assess. I would have to go on what you say. So, well, then in that case, you are agreeing with me. If I came and said to you, Robert, I kill, I murder, this distinction you are making, yes, is because my nature allows me to do that. Because it cannot be tested, it cannot be assessed, and you certainly don't have an external yardstick to determine whether yours is the right one or mine is the right one.
But I do.
We have an,
I'll explain when you finish. Yeah.
We have an issue. Now, the reason I'm bringing up the system, because you are accustomed to it, the definition of murder and the definition of killing are two separate things. Yes. The reason they are separate is, what's the reason that they are separate? Because the act itself, in its finality, is the death of an being. Why and how do you distinguish between murder and kill? But one day a person had asked me about this in that context, and I'm just mentioning it. They said, what is wrong with homosexuality? Okay? So I said, look, let us assume no God, no creator, leave creator out. What are we left with to determine how we have arrived at where we have arrived? Well, in absence of any other that I'm not aware of, or rather that I'm aware of, it is the theory of evolution. Okay? The scholars in the field have developed a system of how to view evolution. Okay? And one of the things they always point back to is how Charles Darwin had mentioned it, and how he specifically talked about the adaptation, the changes by natural selection. Okay? So when I was talking to this person, I said, if we think about it logically, yes, leave morality aside, leave our personal views aside, let's just look at the action itself.
You're talking about the continuation of the species wouldn't happen.
Let's look. If we look at it from that perspective, the issue is not whether there would be continuation. The issue is that did natural selection choose that particular path? We don't ascribe intelligence to natural selection, yes, but the point is, did it ascribe a certain path in which, logically speaking, again, leave morality and everything aside, purely on a functional basis, did it legislate a particular method of species continuing? The answer would be a definitive yes.
Of course, yeah.
But if that is the case, and it clearly is established, again, morality and everything aside, if that is the case, then we have to conclude that if we were to take the creator out of it, from this perspective, then the view is that natural selection deemed it, and we use it, deemed it, because we are ascribing intelligence to it if we say it like that, but it deemed the male and female relationship to be the ideal one to be able to have the species reproduce. But the issue is this, sorry, I'll just finish. The issue is this, that if that is the case from a natural selection perspective, then I would suggest that any other method of that action, leaving the morality element aside, that action would not be considered natural selection. What would it be considered? Well, we have got an opposite of natural, unnatural, okay? But that is a what you call an argument in thought, okay?
I think that...
Wait a minute. Which law did Jesus follow? Because you talked about Jesus. He followed the Old Testament, okay? The Torah. Now, question. The one wife, one husband, was it in Genesis? It is in Genesis, isn't it? So how many wives did David have?
That is that is the action of a sinful man.
Okay.
That's why we need Jesus.
So he was a sinful man. Okay, why did Abraham have more than one wife? Was he a sinful man as well?
Yes.
Solomon,
Yes.
was he a sinful man? Okay, but that's not the question. The question is, were they allowed to marry more than one?
They marry because they are sinful men who want to marry.
Okay.
God punishes Solomon. Remember that? He punished her.
Okay.
God said to him, "You're not to marry."
So how did
and
he...
he had all this, which is exactly what Muhammad.
Okay, so how did he punish...
So how can you say
Sister.
Muhammad is a good prophet?
Okay, so how did he punish Abraham?
Pardon?
How did God punish Abraham?
Pardon?
How did God punish Abraham?
All right, so what is God?
You haven't seen it, so we can't describe
So you don't know what God is.
No, but we know what he revealed to us.
My friend, you're talking about something that you don't even know what it is.
I know, I'm just saying, I don't know. 'Cause I'm just
So how are you going to talk about something you don't know what it is?
Because usually you're talking about seeing something. When you see something, you're able to describe what that thing is. But I haven't seen it.
So you don't know what it is then?
When you say, okay, there's a thing to it.
Can anyone tell me what God is then? Can anyone tell me what God is?
The closest we can come to an answer that you are seeking, the Quran tells us in chapter 112, say Allah is one, eternal, absolute, begets not, nor is begotten, nothing like unto the Creator. So whatever you are going to ask in the formal question to conceive of a Creator is not going to be the Creator.
Okay, so basically
Now,
we can't conceive what the Creator is then.
that's what the Creator says, and logically speaking, we cannot do it.
Okay, so we're talking about something we can't conceive, yet and still we believe and we agree, or people do, I don't, agree that this book came from it, that book came from it, it said this, it said that, it did this, it did that, but we don't actually know what it is.
The logic is slightly flawed respectfully. You see, when you say we don't know what it is, I heard the conversation you were having about the entity you accept.
Entity?
Yes. You talked about an entity.
There's no entity?
Yes.
Oh, okay, like a dog?
Yeah.
Okay, or a tree or something,
Yeah. Now these are limited within a limited experience.
That's right.
Okay. If, for example, we take it on a plane where we know about certain things, we discuss them as though they are real. Okay?
Yeah.
We do, don't we?
Yeah.
But we don't see them.
Like?
Yeah? Quarks.
Quirks.
Quarks, you know, physical atoms, quarks,
Atoms, you mean?
subatomic
Oh,
particles,
okay. Yeah.
quarks,
Yeah.
yes? Nobody's
can't see them.
Nobody's seen them, but we know they are there.
Okay.
How?